has moved through. Roads are still wet. On the inbound Kennedy, we see delays Diversey to North Avenue and Chicago Avenue to the Burns Circle. Your trip time O'Hare to downtown is 25 minutes. It's 15 from Montrose, 10 on the Express. Outbound 23 minutes to the airport. The Edens were at 15 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. About Eisenhower, trip time is 38 minutes, 390 to downtown, 26 from Wolf. Outbound, 32 minutes to 390. Stevenson, 39 minutes, 355 to the drive. Ride from 95th to downtown, it's a 22-minute trip. Bishop 4 traffic's congested, 103rd to the merge. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. We'll have periods of snow crossing the area, mixed with and then changing to all rain in the afternoon, high 43. And rain showers continue into the overnight low 41. Rain and 50 tomorrow. Thursday, patchy morning fog, and then for Thanksgiving afternoon, periods of clouds and sunshine and a high of 49 and a nice day on Friday and Saturday. 33 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, over the last couple of months, you've had real progress in terms of Middle East peace with these normalization deals that have been struck between Israel and Bahrain, Israel, United Arab Emirates, Israel, and Sudan, brokered by the Trump administration in part. And there was a report that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo took part in a secret meeting this week between Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the first known summit between Israel and Saudi Arabia. The leaders, this is reporting in the Wall Street Journal, discussed several issues during the meeting on Sunday, including normalizing ties, addressing Iran, a shared enemy of the two nations. Lasted a couple of hours. Pompeo tweeted out pictures of his meeting with the Crown Prince, but and also a visit to Israeli settlement in the West Bank. So that would indicate perhaps some real serious progress in normalization of relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel, except a Saudi Arabian foreign minister denied the meeting took place, saying, "I've seen press reports about a purported meeting between the Crown Prince and Israeli officials during the recent trip by Secretary Pompeo. No such meeting occurred. The only officials present were American and Saudi," said Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud on Twitter yesterday. So let's see if we can get some clarification on this apparent controversy about what did or didn't happen. To help us with that, we're pleased to be joined by Fahad Nazer, who is the spokesperson for the Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Washington, D.C. Mr. Nazer, a pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on.
So did this meeting occur or did it not occur?
So Prince Faisal's statement was unequivocal and it was very clear, and he was there at the meeting himself, and he said no such meeting occurred. Not only that, but he issued an additional clarification to a Saudi media outlet, Al Arabiya, also yesterday, saying that he personally received and bid farewell to Secretary of State Pompeo in the airport in Neom and attended the meeting with the Crown Prince, and there were no Israelis present.
How did the Wall Street Journal and other outlets get it so wrong, do you think?
You know, I'm not sure, but I think it's important not to lose track of the bigger picture. And the big picture says that the kingdom's position on the Israeli-Palestinian dispute has been consistent for many years. In fact, it was the late King Abdullah who introduced the Arab Peace Initiative at the Arab Summit in Beirut all the way back in 2002. The initiative was endorsed by all 22 member states of the Arab League, and it essentially offers Israel normalization with all of these nations in return for a just and comprehensive peace agreement between Israelis and Palestinians. based on a two-state solution. So that offer is still on the table, and we hope that the Israelis and Palestinians go back to the negotiating table, because this core dispute between the two peoples and two nations really has been the cause of so much pain and suffering in the region for many years.
Does that mean that MBS would be opposed to a meeting with Bibi, or is that something that it's just not appropriate at this time?
Yeah, we've made it clear that the core dispute has to be resolved. As I said, it's been the cause of so much suffering for both Palestinians and Israelis over decades. Not only that, but it has also allowed terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and Hezbollah to recruit followers and to wreak havoc across the region and beyond. So it's very important that for the region, for the Middle East to enjoy any peace and stability, this core issue, this core dispute has to be resolved. And once that is done, as we have said and we have been saying for decades now, there really is no reason why Israel cannot have normal relations with the rest of the region.
Now, a number of mainstream media outlets are saying that Mike Pompeo and the Crown Prince met because of a possible military attack on Iran.
No, I don't have any information about that. But what I will say about U.S.-Saudi relations is they are long-standing. In fact, this past February 14th marked the 75th anniversary of the first meeting between the late King Abdulaziz Al Saud, the founder of modern-day Saudi Arabia, and the late President Franklin Delano Roosevelt aboard the USS Quincy in the Suez Canal. And since that time, in those 75 years, the relationship has continued to broaden and to strengthen and to deepen on multiple levels. I think in many ways it's multidimensional. And it has continued to strengthen and to deepen under both Democratic and Republican administrations, I might add.
So how does the Crown Prince receive those normalization deals that have been struck between Israel and Bahrain and United Arab Emirates and Sudan?
Well, obviously, these countries are sovereign nations. They made decisions based on what is best for their national security interests. We've made our position very clear. At the same time, any measures or moves towards diffusing and reducing tensions in the regions are positive developments.
What about the prospect of a renewed Iranian nuclear deal if you have a Biden administration coming in with Iran seeking nuclearization, seeking to be the hegemon in that region? How concerned is Saudi Arabia about potentially a Biden administration resuscitating the Obama administration policies?
Well, Iran has sought to destabilize the entire Middle East and provoke conflict for the past 40 years. It has violated practically every law, convention, and norm of the international community. It has supported militant groups around the world and backed terrorist attacks in places as varied as Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Kuwait, Iraq, Argentina, France, Germany. Even here in the United States, in the Capitol in Washington, they tried to assassinate our previous ambassador a few years ago. So it is the leading state sponsor of terrorism. We essentially did back the JCPOA, but we've always had reservations about the sunset clauses. We had reservations and concerns about Iran's ballistic missile program, and we definitely have and continue to have reservations and serious concerns about its malign activities in the region. So any future negotiations, we hope that they will take all of these points into account, because they are linked to, they should be linked certainly to any negotiations about the nuclear file.
What would it mean for the region if the preconditions you said were met by Israel and Israel and Saudi Arabia did establish official relations? What would that mean for the region going forward?
Well, as I said, I think it would certainly reduce tensions in the region. The core dispute has been the source of a lot of pain and suffering, and Israel does have a lot to offer. It has thriving sectors in security, in defense, in agriculture. They're leaders in technology when it comes to water preservation and water desalination. There's obviously a lot of history there in Israel and in Palestine, so they have a thriving, or should have a thriving tourism industry and sector. So once that core dispute is resolved between Israelis and Palestinians, there really is the sky's the limit, as they say.
And your assessment of the Trump administration and the relationship that Saudi Arabian government enjoyed with the Trump administration during his first term.
Right. So Saudi Arabia has and continues to have excellent relations with the current administration. I think President Trump and his administration appreciates the constructive role that Saudi Arabia has played in pushing back against terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. I think it appreciates the role that it has played in pushing back against Iran and its malign activities in the region. It also appreciates the role that Saudi Arabia has played in stabilizing global energy markets. So as I said, Saudi Arabia and the United States have had a long-standing relationship that has endured for many, many good reasons. There's a political dimension, there's a security dimension, there's a military dimension between the two countries. People seem to forget that Saudi and U.S. forces have fought two wars side by side. Once back in 1990 when we expelled the invading troops of Saddam Hussein from Kuwait, and then again more recently in 2015 when again Saudi and U.S. troops and forces expelled the terrorist group known as ISIS from Syria and Iraq. So this is a great relationship that has endured for a long time, and we certainly look forward to it continuing well into the future.
Fahad Nazer, spokesperson for the Embassy of Saudi Arabia in Washington, D.C. Mr. Nazer, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
He joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
For great entertainment and fun for the whole family, load up the car and get to the newest destination entertainment center, the Mason Indoor Golf and Family Fun Center in DeKalb, where families, friends, and coworkers can enjoy great entertainment together. It's the only place in town to play in a multi-sport simulator that features realistic indoor golf, as well as all your favorite sports, plus carnival games, zombie dodgeball, laser shot, and arcade-style shooting on a 16-foot wide screen. Also, check out the 15-foot wide TrackMan simulator. Mason Indoor Golf features a virtual green with putt view and is the only one of its kind within 75 miles. You've got to see it to believe it. Enjoy a full-service bar, fun for the entire family, your next corporate outing, or parties. Please check local COVID restrictions on the website for DeKalb County. Get to the Mason Indoor Golf and Family Fun Center, 1500 Sycamore Road in DeKalb. All the info is at masonindoorgolf.com. masonindoorgolf.com.
To say this year has been difficult and challenging would be an understatement, and we really don't know how it's going to end. But for people in poverty-stricken countries like in the Caribbean and Latin America,